American bumblebee gets put on the endangered species list, the first bee in the continental U.S. ever. Artists in Los Angeles paint a protest in blood, and the first step in a new Russian-American partnership may be coming sooner than you think. It's SkyWatch TV for Tuesday, January 17th, 2017. I'm Derek Gilbert. First up, the widow of the Pulse nightclub jihadi has been arrested by the FBI. Noor Salman will make a court appearance today in Tampa, Florida. She was arrested in San Francisco. Indicted in Tampa, will probably move there to face charges. Her late husband, Omar Mateen, massacred 49 people at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando last June. More than 50 others were injured. Mateen was later shot and killed by police after a short standoff. Salman is charged with aiding and abetting Mateen's attempted provision and provision of material support to the Islamic State, and also obstruction of justice. And in Syria, speaking of the Islamic State, ISIS is closing in on a target they've been after for some time. The Al Mayadeen TV channel in Syria reporting that ISIS fighters have surrounded the Syrian air base near the city of Deir ez-Zor. That city has been basically surrounded and under siege by ISIS since July of 2014. But help may be coming. Debka, an Israeli news source that claims to have sources inside the military and intelligence communities in Israel, reports that a joint Russian-American-Syrian-Jordanian force is planning an attack on the historic city of Palmyra. This is southwest of Deir ez-Zor. This attack would take place after Donald Trump takes office officially on Friday. This would be a major operation, the goal being to separate the ISIS forces at Deir ez-Zor from other ISIS troops further to the south and east along the Euphrates River Valley, which ISIS controls, which extends from Syria into Iraq. From Palmyra, the next goal would be the ISIS capital city of Raqqa in Syria. Syrian army officers have reportedly been seen in Jordan for the first time since the civil war began in 2011. And there's another sign of a change in U.S.-Russia relations. Russia has invited the Trump administration to Syrian peace talks that it's sponsoring later this month with Turkey and Iran. So far, the Obama administration has been excluded from these talks. The invitation was made by Russia's ambassador to the U.S., Sergei Kislyak, who called Trump's designated national security advisor, General Michael Flynn. Turkey's President Erdogan told the media there in Turkey that the U.S. will be a part of these talks. They begin in Astana, the capital of Kazakhstan, next Monday, just 3 days after Trump takes office. And speaking of the inauguration, the country's largest Muslim advocacy group, the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, wants Franklin Graham barred from the ceremony, dropped from the list of those invited to pray at the inauguration. Graham has called Islam an evil and wicked religion and said Muslims are enslaved by Islam. Sounds about right. Now, this ought to make things interesting. At the inauguration, thousands of bikers who support Donald Trump plan to be in D.C. on Friday. Organizer Chris Cox has put together a rally for more than 5,000 Bikers for Trump. It will include speakers and musical entertainment, but he also said that the bikers would be there to stand up to protesters if the protesters get rough. Cox told Fox and Friends that if necessary, the bikers would form a wall of meat between the president or the president-elect and protesters. Cox said that the group is nonviolent, but they will only step in if the protesters turn violent. He founded Bikers for Trump in 2015. The group now has 200,000 members across the country. A couple of notes on the economy. Home sale agreements are falling apart across the U.S. at a faster rate than in 2015, and nobody seems to know why. A new report from the real estate website Trulia said that the percentage of home sales that failed to close last year was double the rate of failed closings in 2015. We personally here at SkyWatch TV have friends who just in the last few months have had deals that failed to close, in one case just 3 days before the closing. Now, we do need to point out that Trulia's information, their data only goes back a couple of years, so we don't know for sure that this is a sign of a trend. But it is affecting people we know. And you may recall that about 43 million Americans are on food stamps. That's a point that Donald Trump made during the campaign. This is officially known as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. Now, that's about 13% of Americans, 43 million. It's a $74 billion a year government program. What you may not know is that a new report by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, shows that about 20% of that tax money is being spent on sweetened drinks, sodas, salty snacks, candy, and sugar. That's about $15 billion a year. The USDA study indicates that non-SNAP households were more likely to spend their grocery money on vegetables, dairy products, and fruit than SNAP recipients, but still just a couple of percentage points less likely to spend that money on sweet snacks and sodas. A professor of nutrition at New York University told the New York Times that SNAP essentially amounts to a multi-billion-dollar taxpayer subsidy of the soda industry. It's the law of unintended consequences. Coming up, high-tech help for the lonely. That and more, straight ahead on SkyWatch TV.
Recently, SkyWatchTV held a No Fences Tell Your Story writing contest. After hundreds of writers submitted their inspirational stories, 10 SkyWatchTV judges worked together to narrow it down to 10 beautifully told accounts in the brand new anthology, Learning to Lean. Right now, when you purchase Learning to Lean from the SkyWatchTV store for only $19.95, you'll also receive absolutely free Living a Supernatural Life. Find out how to live in the reality of the supernatural realm, attuned in mind and heart to God's kingdom, coming in power through the Holy Spirit living in you. Plus, we want to help you tell your inspirational stories, so we're also including free a brand new, beautiful spiral-bound personal journal. Put to pen and organize your chapters, thoughts, and outlines, or use as the perfect Bible devotion companion for jotting down your favorite scripture verses. Altogether, this Learning to Lean anthology special offer holds a retail value of $55. Now for only $19.95 plus shipping and handling at SkyWatchTVstore.com. Be inspired as you learn to lean on God's miraculous grace at work in our lives today with the Learning to Lean anthology special offer.
Los Angeles artists are painting a protest in blood. An art collective there is working on a protest painting against President-elect Donald Trump, painted with human blood. The collective put out a call for donations. So far, they've received over 20 pints sent in by other artists, musicians, and activists. The group is called In Decline. It's the same group that created and installed naked statues of Donald Trump in 5 different cities last August. In Decline is well named, considering that this is what passes for art these days. And In Decline also refers to morality, as religious leaders in Washington, D.C. blessed an abortion clinic last week, Tuesday, is Planned Parenthood's latest and greatest facility in Washington, D.C. Religious leaders from 20 groups participated in the ceremony, including Christian denominations, a rabbi, Hindu priests, an imam who joined via Skype, and even featured a liturgical dance. The president and CEO of Planned Parenthood of Metropolitan Washington told a reporter, and I quote, "In almost every message to our staff, I talk about our doing sacred work. This confirms the sacredness of what we do," end quote. It's only sacred if your God is Moloch, or Baal Haman, the god of the Carthaginians, or any number of bloodthirsty pagan gods, not if you're serving the God of the Bible. Now, this raises a question. Why would killing those children before they make that short journey down the birth canal be sacred, while this woman is facing murder charges for killing her 12-year-old son? Is it a matter of distance, the fact that he was outside the birth canal, which makes about as much sense as saying you're safe if you're standing in the kitchen, but if you move 18 inches to the right into the living room, you're fair game? Is it a question of development? No, that can't be it. Otherwise, it would be illegal to exterminate the mentally challenged. Is it a question of size? That makes no sense either. Apparently, 38-year-old Amy Robertson is charged with aggravated murder in the death of Caden Berry, a 7th grader, only because he was too big, too developed mentally, or in the right location perhaps, i.e. not in his mother's womb, and therefore protected by the law. It didn't save his life, but it might send his mother to prison for the rest of hers. A bee has been declared endangered for the first time on the continental United States. This is a troubling sign. The rusty-patched bumblebee pollinates important crops like tomatoes, cranberries, and peppers. The number of this particular species of bee has dropped by an estimated 87% since the 1990s. The uses of technology never cease to amaze. Sometimes it's for sheer silliness, but also can sometimes point to some disturbing trends in humanity. Here's the latest way for lonely people to use their smartphones. It is a device called the Kissinger, not to be confused with our former Secretary of State. Like Messenger, but for kissing. It has sensors which allow people to give and receive kisses through a smartphone app. Partners can see each other on a Skype call, and the silicone pad simulates, to a degree, the act of kissing. The Kissinger is in the working prototype stage. Developers are working on increasing the resolution of the silicone pad, hoping that someday you can kiss in HD, apparently. And ultimately, they want to create a kissing robot, a humanoid head with interactive lips. Which proves what Sharon and I say every week on Sci-Friday. The more advanced technology becomes and the more we depend on it, the less human we become. And finally, I lived for more than half a century before the Chicago Cubs finally won a World Series. My father lived 69 years. He never saw a World Series champion in his beloved Cubs. The previous World Series champion from the Chicago Northside baseball team prior to last October was during the Roosevelt administration. And that's Teddy, not Franklin. The 2016 world champions got their visit to the White House yesterday, Monday, in what President Obama called his last official ceremony. Now, this was a momentous occasion. Consider that the previous Cubs World Series team was led by the legendary double play combination Tinker to Evers to Chance. You might remember that famous poem. Their pitching staff, led by Orville Overall and Three-Fingered Brown. Many All-Star and Hall of Fame Cubs since their day, guys like Ernie Banks and Ferguson Jenkins, Billy Williams, Ron Santo, Ryne Sandberg, Bill Madlock, Greg Maddux, never even played in a World Series, much less won one. So this was a momentous occasion. This was huge. And yet reporters noticed that during the 22 minutes the Cubs spent with the president, Mr. Obama managed to refer to himself 40 times. 40 times. Look, I know the president is a White Sox fan, but come on. Even for him, that's a little much. Coming up at the end of March, you'll have a chance to meet us from SkyWatchTV, most of us anyway, me, Sharon, Josh Peck, Jake Rahutsky, the man who does all the creative work behind the scenes. We'll all be speaking at the Hear the Watchman conference, God's Great Gathering, the G3 Intelligence Briefing. That'll be in Dallas, March 31st through April 2nd. We hope to see you there. Many other well-known speakers, L.A. Marzulli, Coach Dave Daubenmire, Russ Dizdar, John B. Wells, filmmaker Mike Norris, Pastor Billy Crone, Dr. Michael Lake, also from our area. We can get our own little caravan going. Josh Tolley, Pastor Casper McClown, many others. You'll find the information online at hearthewatchman.com. And here's a tip. Use the promo code SkyWatch. Save $20 on the registration. Promo code SkyWatch. hearthewatchman.com. And take advantage of the audio versions of these broadcasts, our daily web updates, daily news updates, and our weekly programs, including Into the Multiverse and Sci-Friday, all available in audio form. Carry them around in your smartphone or MP3 player as a podcast. Log on to skywatchtv.com and look in the top menu bar there for the link that says podcast. You'll find all my stuff online at derekpgilbert.com, and thank you for watching as we keep watch I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.